Today, I'm going to talk about self-education. But first, talk a little bit about how people are educated, how they grow up, how they go through schooling, and end up in their careers. Traditionally, you start off not knowing anything. You're born. You have no knowledge. You learn from your parents. You learn morals, ethics, what's right, what's wrong. You grow up a little more. You learn more about things in school. You learn from your peers, and you learn from your teachers. You go to middle school. You go to high school, you get a little bit more educated, things get more in depth, you learn chemistry, you learn sciences, math. Then most people go to college. In college they kind of specialize and determine what your original goal for your career will be. You kind of don't know sometimes, so you'll decide what you want to study. After you graduate, you enter the workforce and you again learn. But notice in the graph, I have the knowledge base kind of slowing down. When you start working, there's this period where you know everything and you get comfortable in your job. And this can be bad because you start to get bored sometimes. Maybe you realize you made a bad decision. You realize that you want to be doing something else in your career. You're working in finance and you want to be in marketing. So how do you make this transition from doing something that you don't like into something else? Also, eventually after you get really good at your job, you'll get promoted. And so at some point, you'll be good enough that you may be promoted into a job as a manager. In general, you didn't take studies to learn how to be a manager, so how are you going to get that knowledge to be a good one? That's this end period here, where you want to ramp up your knowledge. So when you progress through your career, you want to move in the company, switch an industry, or possibly even start a business. How can you prepare yourself for this? The answer to this question, to some people, is an MBA. That's a logical choice if you want to continue in business and be a little more educated, get higher pay. But there comes major costs with that. There's a high cost of money. It's thousands and thousands of dollars, a lot of time, and plus you're not, for most traditional programs, you're taking off work and not working and taking any wages at that point in time either. So why don't you educate yourself? This is a great idea, but how are you going to do it? One of the things you can do is listen to books on tape or podcasts that talk about business to learn subjects you might not know. For example, my switch from finance to marketing, you would need to learn about marketing. How are you going to do that? Listen to podcasts, read articles, do everything you possibly can to ingest material about it. You also need to network. This is true about an MBA program and regular life in general. If you don't talk to people that have like-minded objectives, you won't grow. And you need to use people like that down the road with your career. So that's always important in both paths. And also you're going to read books. That's the majority of way you've learned from since you grew up. You were given a book, told to read it, given a report on it, and you absorb the material and continue. But there's so many books. Which books do I read? If you go to Amazon.com and search for books on marketing, you're going to come up with tens of thousands. Which ones do you pick, and how many do you read? This is a tough question. I was searching myself until I found this website called the Personal MBA. Now this is a program devised not about business school, but about simulating what the business school atmosphere would be and reading business books, the same ones they read in the business classes. The topics include marketing, sales, negotiation, finance, and of course, you're going to save yourself a lot of money. This program in particular has 91 books in it, which is a lot of books to read. I have a couple right here. This book right here, Strength Finders, Find Your Strengths. Another book, How to Influence and Influence People, is 70 years old. You might have heard of it, and it's very good. But one of the first books they tell you should read is 10 Days to Faster Reading. That's very important. If you're going to do something like this, you have to be very driven. And one of the things that can help is this website that I talked about, personalmba.com. There's a community there of individuals trying to do the same thing that will go through and once per week review a book, all read it, and have a discussion about it, so you're not alone. Now, I want to talk about some things I'm not saying. Some things I'm not saying is that if you apply for a regular MBA program, you're stupid. You're obviously not stupid to do that. You want to do that because you want to learn. But the fact of the matter is, if you can get into a good MBA program, you're probably going to be successful anyway. I'm also not saying that you won't learn anything. You're going to learn a ton of material. But you're going to learn a lot of things that you might not use, and a lot of studies that may not go towards exactly what you want to do. The other thing is, in the classes, you'll have discussions about the books, but you won't necessarily learn any more than you would from reading it yourself. So doing this self-reading and self-education, you can learn as much as you would in the business school. One of the major disadvantages to doing something like this is the networking. One of the main reasons you want to go to business school is to contact recruiters and contact other people that are going to be in really good careers in the future that you can use as contacts. So if you're going to do this, you need to be very active, go to different meetings, become friends with every single person you possibly can, and stay in contact with them. Another thing that you're not going to get when you finish the program is any kind of degree. So you read a lot of books, you know a lot more knowledge, but you have nothing to really say for it. In the MBA program, you will get a diploma, you can say that, and you'll get higher pay. If you want to start your own business or move up in a company, this may be the way to go. However, if you want to start a career in a Fortune 500 company doing consulting maybe, working as an investment banker or a venture capitalist, you're probably going to need an MBA. So the decision is yours to make. I'm going to close here with this Good Will Hunting picture. I don't know if many of you have seen the movie, but in this particular case, this man on the right is educated and went to Harvard. And the other man on the left, he's making fun of him because he didn't go to school. Well, Will did the self-education path and read lots of books himself and learned lots. So to rebut the man's argument, he says, in 30 years from now, you're going to look back and find out that you dropped $150,000 on an education you could have got from $1.50 in late charges at the public library. Now the point of this statement is not that you dropped $150,000 on business school and it was a waste, but the point is you can be as educated as someone who went to business school by attending the public library.